Oh, okay. Guess we're doing this then. Biscuits and gravy. Yes, breakfast food here, right? Biscuits and gravy is really a favorite meal of mine. It's something that's really easy to make, and as a Southern cook, if you want to call me that, it's really something that you're judged on. You're judged on your biscuits. You're judged on your gravy. I will not be making homemade biscuits today, so if you're here for that, sorry. Maybe one video later. I can do it, but it's just not really worth it when you're just making biscuits and gravy. So today I'll be using Jimmy Dean's regular. You can use the Jimmy Dean's with the sage. If you like it spicy, you can use the spicy one. I like just the regular. Tends to work out better. I'll be using canned biscuits for this. Yeah, biscuits and gravy is really a Southern staple. It's, like I said, it's one of my favorite meals, favorite breakfast meals. And again, it's not really that hard, not really that complicated. Making your roux, making homemade gravy, don't make it from a packet. That never tastes good. And don't go out and spend 20, 30 bucks, whatever it is, buying it somewhere else. You can do it yourself. It's really easy. I'll show you how to do it. Okay, let's get started.
All right, so you're gonna start off with your cast iron skillet, pretty hot. Gonna melt down some butter. Can't have too much grease or fat when it comes down to gravy. I've got my bacon up because I've been too lazy to fry any bacon myself. Add that bacon fat to it. And I'm gonna start seasoning my pan. I'm gonna use some of the salt, pepper, garlic seasoning. I'm gonna use some just regular salt and pepper. Some dehydrated onion. And we're gonna start letting that skillet melt down the butter and the bacon fat. Give it a nice stir, kind of combine all your ingredients together. All right, now that all that's incorporated, we're gonna add in our sausage. Try to get all that meat out. It's not always the most fun having to handle raw meat, but when you get your money's worth, get all that whole pound of sausage out. You can also opt in to put in a little bacon. Sometimes we'll have a little bag of bacon from Costco. I'll toss in there too, just for good measure, because this is, breakfast gravy, essentially, so you can't have too much protein. And now you want to break up that sausage. Generally, you want to have it broken up pretty good. You want really small pieces of sausage in every bit of your gravy, but it's okay if you have little larger pieces. I kind of like the larger pieces of meat, so that's all fine and good. You want to get it more broken down at first, though, so every little piece of it can kind of get some crust built up on it. So make sure you do what you can as far as that goes. And now that your sausage is pretty much all broken up, you want to kind of let it sit there and cook under about a medium heat, trying to get that crust on there. You don't have to get your sausage at this point all the way cooked through. You can still have a little bit of pink, but personally, I like to make sure it gets that nice crust on there, so I will be cooking it through a little bit. Adding a little more salt and pepper. If you have too much pepper, add in my Tony Chachere's, because that's always a really good flavor profile, especially when you think Southern. Just a couple little dashes of that'll do you. And we're going to stir in all of our seasonings we've added to it. Keep checking for that crust to build up. And now that our meat's mostly done, we're going to get our flour ready. Using some all-purpose flour here. There's no real measurement as how much to add. You just see that you have a lot of grease in your pan, and you're just basically trying to soak it all up with this flour. That's pretty much the principle with any kind of roux or any kind of gravy, is you're just trying to cook the flour and the fat that's there in the pan. So you kind of got to gauge it, just kind of see if you have any really wet spots in your sausage that you can tell it's a lot of buildup of grease or fat. And you're going to have that flour there to soak it up. At the same time, you're also trying to cook that flour. You want to make sure you get the raw flour taste out of it. Just keep it stirring. You'll know it when it's ready. You won't be able to see any more grease or fat rendered down in your pan. That's okay if you go a little heavy on the flour. You can always kind of fix that later. Just keep it stirring. And now that your flour is pretty much cooked through, you're gonna get 2 cups of whole milk. You can also use heavy cream if you want to. And you want to leave your milk out because you may want to thin it out a little bit because this stuff thickens up pretty quickly. You want to add in about a cup of milk or about a half a cup at a time. Don't put the whole 2 cups in there. You need to make sure that your cooking surface there doesn't get too cold from the milk. You don't want it to curdle either, so you want to try to make sure you put a little bit in at a time. Kind of stir it around with the sausage and the flour. And at this point, you're kind of just making sure that the gravy thickens up. If it gets too thick, you can always add more milk. And just make sure that everything gets incorporated, all your flour gets mixed in. You don't want any clumps of flour. And go ahead and add in the rest of your milk. You'll see that it's starting to get the consistency that you like. And really, the thickness, that really comes down to more of a personal opinion. Some people like their gravy a little bit more runnier. I like mine kind of right in the middle, but it will thicken up as you leave it on the heat. So just kind of keep that in mind. Keep some milk handy to kind of keep it thinned down to where it's more manageable. As you can see, I'm just steady adding in milk, just trying to make sure that it all gets incorporated slowly, so that everything works out and your gravy turns out fantastic. All right, at this point, we're going to start introducing more of the black pepper. I've got my black pepper grinder. You really want to be able to taste the black pepper. Some people are more particular. They don't like the pepper flavor, so it's really up to you. It's up to your taste. I'll also season it with some salt and pepper mix and more of the Tony Chachere's, the Cajun seasoning. Sometimes I'll be a little fancy and I'll put in a little thyme or dried thyme, whatever I have on hand. You want to mix in your seasonings, make sure everything gets spread out through the gravy. This is the point where you can see it starting to thicken up a little bit more than I'm really okay with, so I'll add a little bit more milk to it. And of course, the more milk you add to it, the more you're going to be kind of leveraging down that flavor, so you can add in more salt and pepper if you need to. Make sure that you're not diluting the seasoning there with all the milk. All right, now I'm going to be adding in that dried thyme I told you about. Adding a little bit more of the Tony Chachere's. More black pepper. You want to taste the black pepper in here, so that's really important. You can use a grinder. I wasn't real big on this grinder. It was a brand new one. I just tried out. I didn't really care for it, so in the future I'll probably have different grinders or just some black pepper on tap. That's my Grill Mates classic seasoning. It's got salt and pepper in it. So like I said, just incorporate it, stir it around, watch your thickness, mix it down with milk as you want to. All right, at this point, it's time to do a taste test. Yeah, I can tell at this point it needs a little bit more salt and pepper, a little bit more flavor. I think all the milk has kind of diluted that flavor down like I said it would, so I'll grab a few things even. And at this point, I'm gonna add in a little garlic powder and onion powder just to boost the flavor up there. One thing you just gotta be aware is just make sure you don't make it too salty. So it's a kind of back and forth between the salt content, the flavor, and the milk that you're adding in to keep that thickness down. Stir in all your newly added seasonings. Make sure they all get incorporated into the gravy. And at this point, it's just a matter of tasting it, seeing where you're at with the flavor, kind of knowing where you want to build from it. For me, cooking is all about the flavor. It's all about seasonings. I consider my seasonings to be kind of the color palette that I'm going to paint with, if food is my canvas. So experimenting with what you think you like. At this point, I'm also going to add a little bit of butter. Butter is very, very important in any kind of southern dish here, so can't have too much of it. And add that bit of butter in. Checking my oven, make sure my oven's ready to go for the biscuits. Of course, a little bit more flavor. All right, at this point, the gravy's almost done. I get my Tabasco sauce out because I like to have a little hot sauce on top of my biscuits and gravy. Sometimes it's Cholula, but people will judge me back home if I don't use Tabasco, so that's what I have today. And it's about time for the biscuits to go into the oven. I'm using Grand's biscuits, the buttermilk flavor. All right, after my cold drink break, it's time to get the biscuits going. You see, I've already put some oil down on the pan, and this is probably the easiest part of the meal. Just follow the directions on the can. You can use whatever can you like, whatever brand you like. It doesn't matter. You can use frozen biscuits. You can make your own biscuits, like I said. But for me, I find this a lot simpler. Takes up less time. Doesn't make as much of a mess. Because really here, the gravy is the star of the show. It does get better with homemade biscuits, I can't lie to you, but it's just not necessary. My biscuits ready to go in the oven, and I'll see you when they're done. All right, here's the biscuits. They're looking great. Didn't have to cook them for the full time on the can, so know your oven, make your adjustments where you need to. And this is about ready to be served. All right, the biscuits are done, gravy's done. It's time to tear into a biscuit. I like to take one biscuit, make it just a half and half thing there to get it ready for the gravy. You can do 2 biscuits if you're really feeling the Wheaties, but that's really a lot. And man, don't that look good. Of course, top it off with a little hot sauce. You can also use a little parsley if you're trying to do a really good presentation there. I have no parsley at the moment. And there you have it, folks. Biscuits and gravy. And now, after the meal, you see that you have a little bit more gravy left. Take you half a biscuit, sop that stuff up. Don't let it go to waste. It's always good. Can't go wrong with it. Thanks for checking in with my channel. Thanks for checking in on my food. Checking in with me in this cooking video. I hope it helped. It's really easy to cook, so there's no excuse not to get at it, guys. So enjoy. Have a good one.